the IGR committee. And we're going to get started today as some of my colleagues are on their way in with this slippery weather. But let's start with our discussion item and our report on the legislative policy positions document. Ms. Toplinka, Director Toplinka.
Thank you, Chair Rainville and committee members, and good morning. Happy Halloween. Happy snowy Halloween to everyone. We are here to present the 2024 draft policy positions that came through the policy liaison team process. And so just as a reminder, each year the IGR team convenes the policy liaison team, which is made up of departments from across the city enterprise, so representatives of every department from across the enterprise. You can see we have a number of members of the policy liaison team here in the audience to help with questions as the subject matter experts in these different areas. So we really appreciate the time and support they put into this process and helping to shape the city's policy positions going into the next legislative session. And so we seek policy ideas from departments and are looking for things that will help departments better serve the residents of the city, whether that's through statutory changes or perhaps new funding that they may need. And so departments bring those ideas forward. We vet them as the policy liaison team. And then today we are presenting those recommendations that we are planning to recommend adding to our policy positions document. We're presenting those to you today. We're not asking you to take any action today. On November 14th at IGR committee, we will be back with an updated policy positions document and legislative agenda. And at that point, we'll be seeking council approval of those items. So today is a presentation to get you familiar with the new items that came through the PLT process. There are a couple of other items that we aren't presenting today, but that we will be sharing with you on the 14th as well, that are moving sort of through a separate process related to anti-displacement around the Blue Line and a couple of other things that the IGR team is in conversation with some of our neighboring communities about. And so we will have a couple of other items that we'll be presenting to you on the 14th. So with that, I think we can get in to what the new policy position recommendations are. And then I do plan to just give a very brief federal update at the end of the policy position presentation. And so I already covered most of this, but again, we have the policy liaison team that meets throughout the late summer and early fall, and that's where these recommendations are coming from. There are 15 recommendations that we are presenting today, and then we will include the language in the draft policy positions document for the next cycle. So I'm going to start with presenting some of the proposals, and if there are detailed questions, we can invite the subject matter experts up to help answer them. And I did want to just acknowledge that Indiria Falana, one of our government relations representatives, really led the policy liaison team process. She coordinated everything and made sure everything ran smoothly and that we were ready and prepared to present to you today. She is running a few minutes late, coming from another appointment given the weather. So I'm going to be covering a few of her issue areas here. And so bear with me because I'm not the expert on these first few items. But the first item is support for school-based clinics. This item comes from the health department. And there was a proposal last year to make Minnesota's Medicaid pharmacy benefit a managed care, to move it from a managed care benefit to a DHS managed fee-for-service model. This is something we would like to be clear on our policy positions that we do not support, and that's because it would reduce the amount of resources that come for the school-based clinics that our health department runs. The next item is protecting consumer rights and promoting equity in solar interconnection. And the idea here is that we want to create more fairness for customers by limiting the costs that are assigned for grid updates. And Indira just walked in. I'll finish this one and then let you take over. So based on the age of the existing equipment, we want to clarify that the utility companies have a responsibility to anticipate and design for the deployment of solar as they're maintaining the system. Right now, if there is, and this is I'm about running out to the end of my knowledge on this, so I'll turn it over to Indiria and Kim Havey to explain further. But essentially, we're trying to make sure that we are not requiring customers who want to adopt solar and get into the grid and have solar access to solar, that those costs aren't being passed on to them, or that they're not having an unfair burden for those costs. With that, I will turn it over to Ms. Falana, if you want to clarify what I just said, and then move on to the next item.
Good morning, Chair, Council members. My name is Indiria Falana, Government Relations Representative. Sorry for my tardiness. But continuing on with the presentation, so as Dr. Topinka mentioned, our health department is bringing forward this proposal, and it's related to equity and solar interconnection. So if a customer wants to install solar panels on their rooftop, they need to go through a process which involves contacting their utility to connect to the grid. But if there's no grid capacity, state law states that the customer that is wanting to interconnect must pay for 100% of the equipment upgrade. So the customer is required to cover the costs of the equipment that is being retired. This can be expensive, obviously burdensome to lower income households from participating in solar interconnection. So this proposal is looking to amend that state law to clarify that the utility is responsible and not the customer. We are working with Xcel Energy on a specific path forward and working on compromise language. Our next proposal is from our Arts and Cultural Affairs Department. So this is the new department within our enterprise. So we have been working with them on developing a set of policy positions to add to the city's legislative policy agenda. So in order to support artistry within the city, this proposal affirms our support for the continued investments in the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. So the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund is a state fund that's dedicated to the arts, historical, and cultural programs. This fund was actually created via constitutional amendment in 2008, and it increased our state's sales tax to provide additional funding in 4 areas. So outdoor heritage, clean water, parks, and trails, and arts and cultural heritage, so 4 areas. These funds go to a number of public and private entities, which in return supports artistry within our city. So we believe that this will set us up to have specific city asks in the future for future sessions. So that's what that proposal is doing. The next proposal is coming from our Regulatory Services Department. We have one of the most robust rental licensing programs in the country. However, when a property owner applies for a rental license, they are not required to disclose their name, and many property owners just list the name of their LLC. So in an effort to be more transparent, this proposal would require public disclosure of investor-owned rental properties, sort of like a database with ownership and financial interests, affordability information, such as rents for NOAA properties, and shareholder information on each LLC member. These measures would strengthen enforcement efforts by providing transparency and accountability and allowing uniform applicability of our ordinances and renter rights. Staff could work to be more proactive and straightforward, allowing the city to act with certainty and better hold owners and managers accountable in cases of housing code and renter rights violations. Without this data, enforcement efforts around investor-owned properties and portfolios are limited, slower, and require a higher level of resources for background research. Last session, there was legislation aimed at prohibiting certain corporate entities, real estate developers, and residential building contractors from purchasing single-family rentals. We feel that this proposal is an alternative solution to that and actually gets at the same problem. The next proposal comes from our CPED department. So we were actually working on this last session, the comprehensive plan clarification, but didn't quite get it there. So we are bringing this forward for the upcoming session. So this proposal would be added to our agenda to clarify that comprehensive plans do not require an environmental review under the Minnesota Environmental Rights Act, MIRA. Other cities in the metro area are in support of this legislative proposal, and we will all be collectively trying to get this across the finish line this year. The next proposal comes from the CPED department again. So in order for a property owner to rezone from residential to commercial, the property owner must gather 2/3 2/3 of the property owners' signatures that are within 100 feet of their property. So this is actually exclusive to first-class cities. So this proposal would remove the statutory requirement for cities of the first class. And of course, the other cities of the first class, St. Paul, Duluth, and Rochester, are also in support of this proposal. This would not change the process. A public hearing would still take place. This is just addressing the signature requirement. So we believe that this is an equity issue that's prevented small entrepreneurs from proceeding with plans, and for people who do not have the time and resources to obtain those signatures. In addition, property owners may be difficult to locate. So that is my section of the proposals. So I will stand for any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the group here? No. I see we have a quorum now, so could I have the clerk call the roll, please?
Councilmember Payne.
Present.
Councilmember Wansley is absent. Vital.
Present.
Ellison is absent. Osman, absent. Goodman, absent. Jenkins is absent. Chavez,
Present.
Chuktai,
Present.
Koski,
Present.
Palmisano,
Present.
Johnson is absent. Chair Rainville,
Present.
we have 7 present.
Thank you. I see no questions, so thank you for your
Thank you.
presentation.
All right, so I will cover the next several items and then turn it over to Mr. Huser for the remaining items. So the next item also comes from CPED, and this is looking at the issue of vacant commercial properties, particularly in downtown, but also in other parts of the city, and looking at tools we're hoping to find some tools from the state to help support conversions of vacant commercial space to residential. We are seeking state funding, tax credits, or other policy tools that would assist with the conversion of vacant downtown commercial space to residential or new types of uses. Another part of the discussion we've been having is perhaps new spaces for artists or other uses where there's a need for space, that some of this commercial space could be converted for that purpose. This is another area where there is a lot of interest from our neighboring communities as well. So we anticipate working in partnership with other cities and metro cities on this item. The next item is also another CPED item. Would be seeking to change the state building code to allow for temporary structures or semi-permanent structures for more than 180 days out of the calendar year. This is in response to, as we did share with the council recently, when we've changed from having emergency permit authority for restaurants and now we're back to our regular permit authority. During the pandemic, a number of restaurants put up semi-permanent structures or tents to have more space and better spacing for people throughout the pandemic. And we would like to be able to see restaurants continue that practice, but under state building code and our regular permitting authority, restaurants are only permitted to have tents up for 180 days out of the year. So this is something where we would intend to work with the delegation to see if there's an openness to modifying the building code around that policy. The next item comes from NCR, and this is a recommendation to change state statute as it relates to the NRP Policy Board. And this is one of the recommendations you received in the summer as NCR examined the NRP program and is making some recommendations around that program. One of the key recommendations is allowing the elected officials who have seats on the NRP Policy Board to have a designee represent them at those meetings so that the policy board can ensure that they meet quorum on a regular basis and can make decisions around the program. So right now there are elected officials from the Senate, the House, County Commissioner, School Board, and the Park Board who have seats on the board along with the mayor, but the mayor is the only person currently who's allowed to send a designee. And so we would be seeking a change in state statute to allow any elected official that's on the NRP policy board to send a designee. I know Mr. Gallagher from NCR is here, and he worked on this recommendation, so if there are questions around that, he can help answer those. The next two items, so this next item comes primarily from the city attorney's office and also from our HR department. It's around bargaining units for, to clarify that the sergeants and peace officers they supervise should be in separate bargaining units. This is something that we've had conversation about over the last couple of years, and the city did seek clarification from the Bureau of Mediation Services around this, but wasn't able to get it through that route. So this would be seeking legislative clarification that those bargaining units can be separated. And then the next item comes from the Communications Department. This is around broadband regulation. We, as you are likely aware, the city is able to charge a franchise fee to cable providers to help pay for municipal digital media services. And that, as people have moved away from having cable, our revenue from that fee has gone down significantly over the last number of years. And so this would be exploring whether we could have a franchise fee or potentially a sales tax on digital products that also use city right-of-way. So, you know, for infrastructure for broadband, primarily is what we're looking at, and that would help support some additional dedicated funding for municipal digital media. There was a bill last year that was introduced to create a 1% sales tax. It didn't really move, but this would allow us to, if this policy were added to our policy positions, we could be in conversations about what is the right tool and how can we make sure we have the revenue we need for those services. And this is something that came up quite a bit in our conversations over the summer with other cities at the League of Minnesota Cities, and so this is something that we know a lot of other communities are interested in as well. I'm going to turn it over to Steve for our last couple of items here. And Chair Rainville, would you like to pause here for questions, or should we just take?
Oh, that's a good idea. Any questions? I don't see any. Why don't we keep going forward, Steve? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Steve Huser. I'm a government relations rep with the IGR department. So the first proposal that I have to present to you comes from the city attorney's office. This would be modifying the Data Practices Act relating to prosecutor access to Brady data. So currently, prosecuting agencies are required under state law to provide certain types of evidence to defendants, and getting some of that data is coming from law enforcement agencies. There is a little bit of a mixed bag of how quickly that information and the types of information that are required are getting to attorneys. And so in partnership with the County Attorneys Association, the City Attorney's Office has recommended that to create some statewide consistency that we support some legislation that would clarify the manner and the timeliness of getting that information to prosecuting attorneys. The next proposal that I have to present to you comes from the Public Works Department. This is related to pedestrian malls. This proposal would be to expand the authority that cities have to create pedestrian malls throughout a city rather than just in central business districts. Currently, cities of the first class can set these up under very confined circumstances relating to these business districts. An example for the city is the Nicollet Mall. But this would be asking the legislature to create broad general authority for cities to create these malls in city right-of-way as they see fit. The next group of proposals comes from the city clerk's office and elections specifically. Many of these are, I would consider, kind of technical changes or cleanup language based on the last legislative session's elections omnibus bill. So many of the proposals that are being proposed here would be removing some policy that is currently in our legislative policies because we were successful at the legislature. So these are things like restoring the right to vote for those who were previously incarcerated was passed by the legislature. We feel that we can now remove that from our policies as we were successful there. Some of the other things that would be added in this proposal would be clarification on the types of documents that people who do not have a permanent address could use in order to be eligible to vote. These are eligible voters, but we're just making sure that we're making it easier for them to show that they are eligible voters. Another part of the proposal would be to support state funding and for legislation to address cybersecurity threats to elections. So these would be the types of changes that would be proposed through the elections. The next group of proposals would be coming from, are related to data practices, and these are coming from communications and other city departments. And some of these changes would be specific to the, one specific piece of legislation that we would be seeking is clarification on non-law enforcement body camera data. Under current law, there is law enforcement body camera data statutes that clearly states the time and manner and the types of redactions that would be necessary to make some of that data public or which should be remain private. There is not, the statute is written in such a way though that it does not allow for an easy correlation to non-law enforcement city staff who have begun to wear body cameras. So we're asking for clarification that the statute we have a commensurate statute for that type of data. Some of the other data updates would be asking clarification of the legislature for how certain types of information should be classified, whether public or private. So these things would be related to like email, text messages, and draft documents. We're also asking for some clarification and potentially state funding for how to work to be responsive to large data requests. This was an issue that has come up when we have participated in the League of Minnesota Cities policy processes. Many cities and local governments are facing a lot of costs that are being incurred and a lot of time and effort from city staff to be responsive to very large or vague data requests. So we are asking for the legislature to take a look at this issue and help local governments either have some funding to address the costs that we're incurring or clarify if there's different ways that we can be responding to those types of requests. And that is what I have, Mr. Chair, and I'll be happy to stand for any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Mr. Hooser. Any other questions? I'm looking down. No. Thank you for the presentation. Let's proceed with the federal update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you again. Just want to reiterate our thanks to the city department staff who are here and who helped put together these recommendations. Really appreciate all of their time and effort. Just have a very brief federal update. I think everyone is aware of probably what's been going on over the last couple of weeks with the House finally selecting a speaker last week, Speaker Mike Johnson from Louisiana. And so now the House can get back to doing work because they were unable to work on the budget or really anything else until they had selected a new speaker. The continuing resolution that the federal government is currently operating under expires on November 17th, so a couple of weeks from now. And so they will need, again, to come to some kind of agreement around the budget, either another continuing resolution or adopting budget bills before that November 17th deadline. Otherwise, again, we could be facing a potential shutdown. I think it's hard to predict at this point where things will land, but just want you to be aware that that's kind of the next deadline we are looking at. When we were concerned about facing a shutdown at the end of September, we do have the Office of Emergency Management and the Finance Department here at the city carefully looking at federal funds that we rely on, making sure we have the right, mechanisms in place to ensure that we won't have cash flow issues for a short-term shutdown, and making sure that we have protocols in place to deal with any potential delays in programming we might experience due to a shutdown. I think for a short-term shutdown, we are well prepared to deal with that. If it were to be longer, then obviously that would become more challenging. Again, we don't know that will happen, but November 17th is when the current continuing resolution expires. One other piece of information to be aware of is that under some legislation passed earlier this year. They did agree that if there is not a new budget adopted, if Congress doesn't pass a new budget by the end of this calendar year, there will be an automatic 1% cut across all domestic and defense spending programs that would go into effect in April of 2024. So that's potentially something that members of Congress will want to avoid and provide some motivation to come to an agreement around the budget. So those are the kind of the key factors going on in Washington right now. It's really focused on the budget and trying to get that done by the end of the year. So that is our federal update. One last piece I wanted to mention is that the earmark requests are still, we have not heard that they're off the table in any conversations at this point. We believe they're still in play as part of these budget negotiations, so we're still hopeful the city may receive some funding through some direct congressional appropriations, but we will likely not know that until November or more likely December. So that's the federal update, and happy to stand for any questions on that.
Thank you. Any questions of Director Toplinka? No? None? With that, seeing no further discussion, I'll ask the clerk to file that report. Thank you. Now, I do want to move back to the consent item today. We have one consent item today, which is the Nicollet Mall Legislative Directive. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll, please. And I'll move approval of that.
Councilmember Payne,
Aye.
Vital,
Aye.
Chavez,
Aye.
Jutai,
Aye.
Koski,
Aye.
Palmisano,
Aye.
and Chair Rainville.
Aye.
You have 7 ayes.
Thank you. With that, we've concluded all business to come before the committee today. Without objection, we are adjourned. Thank you.